Victoria Kann, author and illustrator. That's me. And these are the characters that I write about. And I have written over 70 books with these characters, Pinkalicious and Peter. And they are roughly based on all of you that are watching and all the kids out there who tell me their ideas when I visit them in schools and when they share them with me on social media, but also on my two daughters, Leah and Christina. And today is a very special day because it is Leah's birthday. Leah is over on the left. And that's them wearing their pink dress-up outfits and holding cupcakes. And here are just some of the 70 books that I have written and illustrated. Have you read them? Have you read the book about apples, 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 speaking about apple season? Or have you read Pink Pumpkin because it's pumpkin season? Or Pink or Treat? And here's Rubylicious. And Pinkalicious is also a musical. You may have seen it when it came to New Haven and it was in the area. So it opened up years ago off Broadway. It was supposed to be open for 2 weeks, but it got sold out. So it stayed open to sold out shows for years. And has anybody seen Pinkalicious and Peterific, the TV show? Raise your hands if you've seen it. Oh, you've seen it? Oh, yay. So you know who these characters are. And there they are in their pirate's outfit. And I work on this show, and a lot of stuff that I do is I work on the script and the stories, and then I talk to the animators, and the animators who are the ones who make the characters move and bring them to life. And we get to pick out their clothing, and we get to make decisions like, should Pinkalicious have a pirate hat that's pink or purple? Should it have a skull and crossbones, or should it have a smiley face on the top? And this is where I'm from. I am from Brooklyn, New York. And I grew up, do you see that little lighthouse all the way on the left, excuse me, the right corner, all the way down? I grew up right up the street from there in Brooklyn Heights. And when I grew up, New York City was not pretty. It was filled with graffiti. It was very, very ugly. There were homeless people everywhere. There were muggers, and it was dirty. There was garbage. There was even dog poop all over the sidewalks. Yes, it was not attractive. And when I went to school, we didn't have fun gym. It was really like, instead of gym, they sent us to the playground, not even the playground, the park. This is it. I had to stand in this field and stare at this war memorial for 45 minutes, and it was cold and awful, and I didn't like it. So I begged and begged to go to the library. I loved the library. So I would get to go there instead of gym because there's so many books. And that's where I began to develop my imagination. Living in such an ugly place when I was growing up also helped me develop my imagination, because I began to fantasize about different places, and I began to think about different things, and I developed a love of stories, and I would immerse myself into the books and the characters. And one of the books that I read was Madeline. Has anybody out there read Madeline? Raise your hands if you've read it. Oh, okay, you've read Madeline. So you know, it was wonderful for me to imagine 12 girls living in Paris. What could be more fun? And this was my favorite illustration from Madeline. Do you remember this? In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turned on the light and said, "Something is not right." And afraid of disaster, Miss Clavel ran fast and faster. Well, she was really my hero. And I think this piece of artwork is better than the Mona Lisa. I think it's better than a lot of Renaissance art because it's so expressive. Do you see that big door over on the left and the little door over on the right? So when I illustrated Pinkalicious, I thought of that. And I had Pinkalicious very big over on the right, and I had Mom small and a lot of yellow. Do you remember this page from Pinkalicious? Did you read it and you remember that when she turned pink? And I also love this very odd book called The Lonely Doll. And I loved it because it was illustrated with photographs. So I thought maybe it could be real. I imagined that these characters were real. and it had stuffed animals, and it had a doll, and they were all around New York City, and they went to the same places I went to. They went to the zoo, and they went to Central Park, and they went to the pond in Central Park and sailed their boat. And I also loved Eloise because she lived in the Plaza Hotel, which was the most luxurious hotel in New York City, right by Central Park. And she was very, very naughty. And I was too afraid to be naughty. I didn't ever want to get in trouble. So I got to read all about Eloise getting in trouble, which was a lot more fun than having to deal with the consequences. And she had a silly dog, a pug. And then I have loved this book. And this is a book that my grandmother gave me, and it had lenticular pictures, which mean if you held it one way, it had one scene. And if you moved it, it had another scene. And it was illustrated also with photography and with dolls. And I thought that was fun because it seemed very real to me. And this is Hansel and Gretel, which I think is actually a very creepy story, but I like the beginning.